I have a special guest today, and this person has a YouTube channel of his own. It's called My Tesla Adventure. He is a good friend of Starman. He creates the Starman comic book series. He loves taking his daughter on road trips in his Tesla, and is a valued member of the community. And also, of course, he's one of the first people that got the chance to drive in the Tesla Model S Plaid. So let's welcome Eli Burton. Hey man, welcome.
Hey, Steven, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be on.
Thank you, thank you. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing good. It's a beautiful sunny day here in California. It's noon currently. I know it's nighttime there in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, having a great day. It's Elon's birthday today. So been putting together posts and videos and stuff, helping celebrate him. And
Yeah,
yeah, what he's accomplished in 50 years, nation states have not achieved in their entire existence. And when I say that, I mean SpaceX there's only three nations that have ever put men into space. It's the United States, it's Russia, and now it's SpaceX.
yeah.
So I
It's
mean,
the
what,
first
what he's
private company
accomplished,
that makes it. Huh?
right? What he's accomplished with a private company, he's outdone
Yeah,
superpower nations. So it's
yeah, yeah.
stunning, man.
We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But let's start off with the obvious Tesla. What actually got you interested in Tesla, and when was that?
So what got me interested, I found out about Elon Musk because of the early days of what they were doing with SpaceX. I'd always been following the space thing. Kind of started seeing some rumblings about SpaceX, hearing a little bit about Elon Musk. Um, but then I read the book from Ashley Vance,
Mm-hmm.
kind of his biography to date, so to speak.
A
And when
must
I
read for
read that, it
any
was
Elon fan.
like, yeah, right, in Elon time, yeah, because now it's a whole nother story to be told, which is why he's about to be working on another book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I read that and I was like, okay, this guy is the real deal. What he's doing with SpaceX is the real deal. I need to go test drive a Tesla. Because,
Mm-hmm.
what I thought of at the time when I thought of electric cars as an American, the only electric car we knew of was a Prius, which
Yeah.
was really a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
And it was known for having short range, faulty batteries that had to be replaced. And the car's not sexy. They intentionally made the car not sexy. So, I didn't think much of an electric car. And then I drove a Tesla and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And it became literally my sole focus to figure out how to make enough money solely so I could afford a Tesla Model S. At the time, the Model 3 didn't exist. So it was how do I make enough money professionally to afford a Tesla Model S? Became my number one focus.
Yeah. And when was it? Like 2015-ish or?
2015. Yeah, it was about 2015. And I spent all of the next 2 years working my face off for, 60, 70, 80 hours a week till I got to the point in 2017, summer 2017, that I placed down the order for my first Tesla Model S 75D.
Okay. And what were you driving before that?
I was driving a 2005 old Lexus ES330 that had 138,000 miles. I sold it to my cousin for like $4,000. So I went from a $4,000 car that honestly I was fine with. It served my needs for what little driving I did, to a $100,000 car.
Yeah.
That is something I never would have done except for what the value proposition and what the experience that Tesla offered. I didn't even have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you at the time already have those incentives that you have now on electric cars as well, or was that before that?
We did. We had the $7,500 tax credit at the
Okay.
time.
Yeah. So
But
that
yeah, then
definitely
it was
helped. But
just,
again, on a $100,000 car, it's basically peanuts. Huh?
yeah, it was still a $100,000 car with a credit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's the same for me. The car that I drove before I went to Tesla was an Audi A5. And basically my needs were I need to have a family car, so I need to be able to have three kids. I need to be able to see three kids in the back. And a Model S was perfect for me. And I always say it's kind of like a midlife crisis. I bought myself a sports car and my wife got the family saloon. So, and it's all in one car. I mean, it's amazing. And we'll talk about the Plaid Model S later on as well. Even with that much power in a saloon car, it's just amazing what Tesla has been able to achieve for that. But what made you choose a Tesla? What attracts you the most to Tesla itself as a brand or as the car?
What got me initially was activating the first time I got to activate Autopilot 1.0 and I double clicked the stick, and the way the car just locked itself like rails into the lane. I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't dreaming of the Jetsons of flying cars because I knew that was not really that feasible. I just wanted a car that could drive itself. And when the first time I hit the AP stick and activated autopilot, it was on a side street not too far from my house, and I felt that thing lock in dead center to the road and control the vehicle. That's the moment I knew that I was like, this is that future I've always dreamed of. This car is going to get there. And then when you add the experience of the electric torque and the acceleration and the not having the noise of the engine and the comfortability of the drive, it was like stepping into car 3.0. Like it's funny, like I always like you've heard Elon talk about this a lot, and I did for a long time too. Gasoline powered cars are horse-drawn carriages compared to a Tesla. It would be like going from an iPhone 13 back to a Nokia phone. It's such a step into the future that I just completely fell in love with the brand. But what about it that got it for me initially? Autopilot all the way, and then number two was the driving experience and the acceleration.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for me, it was more or less the same. I also test drove it, and I think most of us, if you test drive a Tesla, you buy it. That's kind of how it goes. But again, yeah, it's interesting to see. And again, for me, also the technological part was part of the deal. Like Autopilot 1, when they announced the P85D with the first Autopilot, I immediately started investigating, like, okay, how can I pay for this? And is this feasible to get this car? And about a month later, I actually ordered one with the P100D. I think it was 2 days after they released it that I actually ordered it. And now I have a Model S Plaid, a Plaid Plus still on order, but that's probably going to change into a Plaid. But we can talk about that in a little bit as well. Yeah, Tesla Enthusiast also says, like, yeah, AP is a big deal. I think it's one of the key points, if not the key point, together with the supercharger network, where Tesla is king over everybody else still at this point, even after all those years.
Yeah, and it's something that makes why on all of the things that Tesla has that it does better than the other automakers who are making EVs, I think it's the one thing that makes Tesla truly special. That this is an experience that the other brands have not been able to replicate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And as Elon said, even after all these years, cars are coming close to what they produced in 2012. I think it will go faster and faster now that the other automakers, especially like Volkswagen, VW, they have really made that mind switch on the one hand. On the other hand, they still stick to their ICE cars, of course, but they are really going for those EVs, and they are bringing out some compelling EVs. The only thing they're lacking now is the supercharger network and the fast charging speeds and the over-the-air software updates. So that is something, I don't know if you heard the story, but there was a problem with, I believe it was the ID3, and they had to recall every car to just plug in a USB drive for the software update. Like, come on, guys, this is not of this age anymore to do something like that. So, yeah.
Well, it's because these companies are not software companies. They're not technology companies. They're car manufacturers that are they're car assemblers. Mm-hmm. Some of them are actually car manufacturers. A lot of them just assemble cars from third-party manufactured parts that are trying to figure out software and technology. And it is not easy. And what makes it not easy is not that they don't hire talented engineers. The organizations don't have a technology mindset. So, mm-hmm. Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of bumps on their road to.
Yeah, they try to apply their old principles to a completely new car, whereas Tesla has the advantage of being a completely new company. Well, they exist for quite a few years now, but they started completely new, and they could start from the ground up, reinventing everything and redesigning everything, and not having to deal with, oh, we have these machines or these lines work like this, and we have these constraints, and that's also a big advantage. And I think if any automaker wants to succeed, they will have to adapt in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tesla didn't have the advantage of the dead weight of the past and those assets that they had to operate under. Yeah, it was a huge advantage. And actually a big advantage that although making a successful auto company is very hard, I think it's something that all the startups like Lucid, like Rivian, and these guys have a real big potential is they're not tied down by the past.
Exactly. Now you mentioned before, like Autopilot and FSD. You have some experience with the FSD beta. Where is it according to you? I mean, I did a live stream a couple of months ago about FSD in Europe and what can we expect. We have a lot of regulations here. You have the different levels of autonomy. Do you feel at this point that FSD beta is good enough to say, okay, I'll take out my cell phone and I'll start doing some emails?
So, I
It's
mean,
not legal, but from a capability point of view, I mean.
no, it's definitely not there. Well, so here's the thing with FSD beta is it's only on side streets that the FSD beta that we have is operating. When we go onto the freeway, it's the same old navigate on autopilot
Okay.
code base. That does work very well.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with saying, is it good enough that you could say, regardless of legality, just saying like, hey, is it good enough that I could text and drive or work and not pay attention to the road and it's fine? For FSD beta, we're talking side streets and an unbelievable amount of complex situations, and even just for standard driving, not even thinking about some pretty obscure edge cases. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things that could potentially go wrong that had to be worked out. And the other thing too is, if you remember, we're all on version 8.3. 8.3 was basically scrapped 4 months ago as they are transitioning to vision only. And there hasn't been any update. So we're basically waiting for version 9, which Elon indicated he's currently on the alpha build. So once that goes into beta and the beta tester group gets access to that, I think I can give a lot more insight. But
Yeah.
effectively, they've had to make up some pretty significant rewrites since they scrapped radar entirely and are relying purely on vision. So I think right at this point in time, I don't think I can really comment on its state because haven't yet touched the new version.
Okay. What are your thoughts about them skipping radar?
Initially I was like, what, are you kidding me? Like there are definitely some trade-offs. There's some things that you give up when you give up radar. And the biggest thing is radar does a much better job currently at measuring distance to some of these objects than vision can.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand is there's a lot of noise from the radar that was causing problems, and it's part of the reason why phantom braking was such a big issue. I think they've just put an even bigger problem on themselves, or put even more of a challenge on themselves to solve vision. But that's also very Elon Musk, right? He'll go all in on a thing and say we're going to solve it this way, or we're not going to solve it at all.
Yeah.
And Tesla has doubled down on what he's always said, that vision is the answer. Now vision is the only answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that on the one hand, I think Tesla will be the first to crack FSD. I mean, you have Waymo, but those are very local initiatives. But if you talk about worldwide FSD, in the sense that you can do it in most cases, that's like a level 4. Then, yeah, I think Tesla will be the first, but I don't think it will be within the next 2 years that we reach that level. There's so many complexities, and everything would be so easy if all of a sudden every single car would be FSD as of tomorrow. But now you have these people that are driving still manually, and they are very unpredictable people sometimes, and they do stupid stuff. And you see a lot of the human failures on YouTube and on internet of the stupid things they do. So I think FSD is the way to go, and we need to get there as quickly as possible to reduce the number of accidents and deaths on the road. But it is a lot more complex than Elon likes to point out, like, yeah, we've almost solved it, and it's always almost solved it, and it's kind of like a moving target.
And what you just said about the human drivers is only one part of it. Once you start getting to full self-driving on city streets, you also have human pedestrians. You have dogs. You have all the different things. You can have a UPS truck have packages fall out the back. Like, you have so much more variance once you get off the freeways.
Or a kid
I think
running in
solving
the
autonomy
street.
on the freeway, I think if Tesla wanted to do that, I think they could do that within the next year. And that would be great, by the way, because the majority of the distance that people drive is on freeways and highways where you
Yeah.
don't have large amounts of these other variables.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to like San Francisco and other cities that, in theory, that this will need to operate for robotaxi to be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when he talks about the March of Nines, they have to be able to handle normal situations with a 99.99999 success rate,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to handle an unbelievable amount of anomalies that it's just going to take time. It's not like level 5 autonomy is not coming this year. It's not coming next year. It's going to come. And when it does come, they're going to be well ahead of everyone else because, like you said, Tesla is going for a generalized full self-driving AI that they can apply anywhere.
Exactly.
That's going to take longer. than the people like Waymo who are willing to spend extra money on more expensive equipment, more processing, that it's okay if they burn more energy, and they're just trying to do it for isolated environments. They are going to get there and be able to solve those specific solutions first, but they don't have something that they can just turn on and it work nearly worldwide.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And I do think it is the right approach as well to tackle this problem. Now, Sam had a question. Have you ever driven using autopilot on the right coast or only on the left coast?
I have not driven on the East Coast. I'm driving on the West Coast. I've driven central U.S., but yeah, I live on the West Coast, so primarily West Coast.
And do you see any differences between areas in the US?
There are some differences in some intersection type stuff, but it's not majorly different. Our roadways everywhere I've driven are very much roughly similar.
Yeah.
There's a little bit different rules of the road. Some states allow you to make a right turn on red, some don't.
Yeah.
Some have this soft yellow turn light that others don't, but roughly the shape and structure of our roadways, unless you're getting into places that are very old or San Francisco or other very old towns that had some pretty obscure stuff,
Yeah.
all the modern stuff is relatively similar.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Now, I need to talk to you about something else as well.
To Plaid.
So you've actually been to Plaid. Tell me, what was it like?
I have, but before I share my experience of the Plaid Model S, I got to go back to the beginning. I was there at the unveil of the Tesla Semi when all of a sudden everything goes black and that video started come onto the screen.
I was there
and
as
me
well.
and my friends there just froze, and I was like, they're about to release the next gen Roadster.
Yeah.
And Franz drove that thing out of the back, and that was like the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, to the Plaid Model S, which for now, that is kind of the accumulation of what we first heard about with Plaid, is that, it's now coming in the Model S. So the Plaid car is fast, and you have a P100 DL as well, right?
Yep.
So same here. I have a Raven Model S Performance, which is the P100 DL,
but yours is a little bit faster
on a quarter mile, but we have basically the same 0 to 60. Yeah. So the experience of this car, this is Tesla's race car. And I think the fact that they chose the yoke as the only option for the steering wheel is to help reinforce that. And the reason I say that is the 0 to 60 didn't feel substantially different than my Model S P100D. Now, part of that has to do with when we were taking these test rides, there was 4 adults in the car. And if you know anything about low-end acceleration, weight has a huge factor.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing a maximum run on a drag strip, it's just me. We had 4 adults with camera gears. We had an extra 1,000 pounds of weight, not to mention that these cars are getting ran over and over. So as the battery goes down, you're not going to get the same performance. But what really stood out to me was that even once you get past 60, once you get past 70, once you get past 90, where our cars, with the previous ludicrous cars, the acceleration starts to drop, this car just keeps going. So that power curve that Elon showed in the graph, that it maintains 1,000 horsepower all the way to 200 miles an hour, you feel that. Like the car keeps pulling. If you put the pedal down, it keeps pulling just as hard as it was when you took off. And yeah, that really makes the Plaid Model S is Tesla's 4-door family sedan race car.
They also got some people that say, okay, you got the 0 to 60 already in the ludicrous version. Why do we need this car? And Elon is very clear. Same with the Roadster. It's a hardcore smackdown to gasoline cars. And that's basically it. But why would you want to buy such a car that is kind of illegal to use to its full potential?
Well, you could take it to the Autobahn, which you guys are lucky enough to have. We don't have one of those here.
But even there are a lot of restrictions already.
Yeah, no, I know that's true. Look, people buy high-performance cars all the time that you can never take to their max. We can't take our ludicrous cars to their max. I can't legally anywhere. Doesn't mean it's not a lot of fun. But look, if you're an existing P100D owner, it's probably less compelling to somebody than somebody who doesn't have a performance Tesla. But if you're buying a performance Tesla for the first time right now, what you get is absolutely mind-blowing. You're still paying that 120,000 range. And you're the fastest car. Like, you beat $3 million cars even at the top end. Unlike before, where our cars only beat them off the line on the 0 to 60. We win everywhere. And I don't know if anybody watching, or I mean, you're a fast car owner, when you drive around in a fast car, you run into the other fast car people on the road, and sometimes you guys do your thing a little bit. The Plaid Model S will no longer lose the rolling starts. Like if we did a rolling start with somebody from 30 or 60 in our Performance S versus their high performance car, they're going to have an advantage on us, but not anymore. This really is the ultimate smackdown of gas cars. And if any of you guys watching, if you saw what Unplugged Performance did at Pikes Peak, I mean, they beat everybody and beat people who had cars specifically engineered and made just for Pikes Peak.
And that was not in ideal conditions even.
No.
So yeah, but I still remember the story. I think it was the first month or two that I had my P100D, and what I did back then is I usually drove it on the sport mode to make ludicrous, because I thought it was a little bit too nervous at first. Now I learned how to drive it that way, but it made it more of an event to do the ludicrous launch. And I remember at the stoplight, I was just coming from a supercharger, and this huge Mercedes AMG car was standing next to me, and he started pulling away on the green light, and I'm like, okay, let's play. But he was already like 10, 15 meters ahead of me. So I started accelerating, and by the time we reached 60 miles an hour, I was nudging ahead. So I was like, yeah, okay, he pulled on, but I want to 60, so that was it for me. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I remember this car being faster. I would have thought the difference would have been greater. And then I looked into the dash or on the menu, and I saw that was only in sport mode. So with ludicrous, I would have annihilated that car. So yeah, that was always...
you'd have beat him, no problem.
Hey, Frank, thank you so much for the super chat. So question, going from normal Model S performance to Raven to Plaid, how is the sound silence? Did you get a chance to pay some attention to that?
It did. I was paying attention because that was very much highlighted, the new sound canceling. Now, I have to say, for me to give a full review on this, I'm still waiting till I can get a hold of a car myself and spend a few hours with it. Once my local Tesla Rockland store gets one, they're going to let me test drive it for an extended period of time so I can give a better answer. But it did feel more dampened, I would say.
But you have the active noise canceling now as well, huh?
It did feel more dampened. Now, again, this was also at an event. Everybody's loud, the energy's high. So I can't really say I have an apples to apples comparison to say, hey, I drove this area that I drive and I drove it with the Plaid S. I haven't had that experience yet. And as soon as I do, I'm going to put out a video giving my thoughts on the Raven S versus the Plaid S.
Yeah, please do. Please do. We're all looking forward to that, because for me as well, I'm driving the Model S, the P100D. It's a early, 2017 car. And every time I drive it, I'm always like, this isn't so quiet. You have ICE cars at the moment that are a lot more soundproof than what my car is. And then the EV should be the really quiet experience. So I'm really hoping, and that's part of why I want to upgrade. First of all, my lease is up next year in February, so I have to buy another car or lease another car. And secondly, I'm looking forward to some better quality, better noise cancelling, be it active or passive. That is something that I'm longing for in my experience as a Tesla driver.
I see the comment there from Samuel. Samuel, I'm sorry to hear your family is going to have to deal with the 405. The funny thing about the 405, I grew up in Southern California. There is no point in the day that the 405 doesn't have rush hour traffic, and I kid you not. Like right at about 2 a.m. where the night traffic would be ending, it's now picking up for the early morning traffic of people commuting. Like I think between the hour of like 2:30 and 3 a.m. is like the 30-minute window where the 405 can be tolerable. It's unbelievable how it is down there. So best to your family. I hope they stay safe. Have a good time.
Yeah, traffic is a hell. And if we can have FSD, that would make it a lot more enjoyable, because we can start working on our emails or whatever. But that will be a long way away still. Even if it's technically possible, the legal part will be a long road, I think. So also Plaid Plus was cancelled. What do you think about that? Do you think the Plaid Plus is going to come back sometime next year, maybe, when they have the 4680 cells better worked out or something like that?
I mean, the question I ask myself is Tesla really never going to put their best battery cells in their flagship car, right? No. The answer is no. Like,
Mhm.
it's going to happen. Like, even though Elon said years ago that, the S and X are not critical to their revenue, it is still important to the brand. It's important brand. It is important for brands to have flagships, the top end car that sets their reputation, and then the a little bit lower tier car that they sell at scale. That's what you do. You keep the flagship cars because they're good for the brand. So the idea that there's not going to be a Tesla Model S in the future that has 520 miles of range, that doesn't have the 4680s, that's crazy. It's going to happen. What I take the sign of Plaid Plus being canceled is that the 4680 version of the Model S performance is not coming in a year. Maybe it's coming in 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
but it's not going to be a 2022 solution. It's going to be further out. I mean, come on. Also, too, the timing of when Elon announced the Plaid Plus and its range was right after Lucid announced their car that's going to ship at 500 miles and was about, or 517 miles, and was about to dethrone Tesla for longest range. That's
Yeah.
when Elon came out and said, "Oh yeah, Plaid Plus is 520 plus." You really think Elon's going to sit back and let somebody else take that title from him forever? No way, no way, Jose.
No, that's true. And in the car world at that level, it's kind. I always call it the battle of the egos. And Elon always wants to win, and he has the means to actually win each and every time.
Oh, and it's one of the things about competition that's fantastic is I love it when there's competition pushing at Elon because he has what it takes to produce and be better. So
But that
it's
also
fantastic.
pushes the other car manufacturers, and in the end, competition is always good for the end consumer in the long run. So
Competition is great for the consumer, and I'll be honest, Tesla has not had enough of it.
okay, now let's move on to that nice background that you have. Can you tell me the story of real life Starman? Because this is crazy. So what's up with?
Yeah, sometimes real life and fiction start seeming like they become one another.
Mhm.
So it goes back to the Falcon Heavy demo launch back in 2018.
Yeah.
And I mean, for you guys here watching, you guys probably all followed it when Elon put Starman into his Tesla Roadster, set the thing into space in this experimental rocket. I looked at this and it was like, this is the most amazing thing I'd ever seen.
Hmm.
But also, it made me ask myself the question: what if Starman was real? And then I went and made an entire comic book universe and series off of it, and that's called The Adventures of Starman,
Yeah.
and that's what led into the creation of real life Starman, because as we were going through production of the very first episode, it just became very apparent to me that Starman needed to exist again in real life, right? That we didn't Starman didn't wasn't even on Earth for very long, and nobody even got to really see him in person, and that it would be really awesome, I think, if Starman wasn't gone forever. And that introduced real life Starman, which is, if you guys probably seen, Starman's appeared at a number of the Tesla unveilings, the Cybertruck, the Model Y,
Yeah.
um, been at some SpaceX launches. So yeah, it's really cool, and it's awesome the excitement that people get when they see Starman. Like, Starman actually showed up and did a walkthrough of the Tesla factory one time,
Okay.
and the reaction from adults, it was like kids seeing Santa Claus, like 5-year-old kids seeing Santa Claus, and these are 30 to 50-year-old adults. So the fact that the presence of Starman can bring out childlike wonderment, even in very hardworking, very busy, very stressed out adults, is like absolutely incredible. I think we need more joy in the world like that, and I'm so thrilled that I get the chance to help bring that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. We do need a lot more joy, as you say. It's also part of the reason why I got my custom license plate, a Roadrunner. It's always making people laugh and point, and kids are saying, "Oh, it's the Roadrunner," and it's to bring joy to people and to have a smile in their day, which is otherwise so busy and occupied, and everybody's stressed, especially now with the current situation. There are a lot of other things that are going on, and people are actually stressed, and we need some kind of relief and some light at the end of that dark tunnel. And I think Starman is definitely helping on that front as well. So yeah, that is really cool. Now you actually are trying to become a real life Starman yourself, right? So you
I
applied for
am,
the
yeah.
moon mission. I did as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get past the first round, but you seem to have a little more success. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was like I like you. I applied for first round. I got shortlisted from the first round to the second round. Got shortlisted really quick for that, and then I did the third round, and then basically everything past the third round is under NDA. So I can't really talk anything about that. But yeah, I
We
mean,
won't tell.
it's
We
an
won't
honor to
tell
be
anybody. It's between us.
it's an honor to be a part of the process. And look, the chances of getting selected on any of these things are never high, right? Like they're like when you have something that is this stunning and it's this incredible of an opportunity, you're going to have
Yeah,
like there's always going to be somebody with a better story, with a more compelling reason, more experience, more reach. So I don't expect to get selected, but it's an honor just to be considered
yeah.
because it's going to whoever does get selected, it's going to be an experience of a lifetime.
I had the same thing. I didn't even ask my wife if it was okay to enlist myself. I was like, I'm doing this. Chances are pretty slim anyway. Um, but yeah, it's a chance that you get, and it's probably well, most likely the only chance that you get. Perhaps maybe if SpaceX really moves along with their mission to Mars, maybe we'll see that in our lifetimes to be possible to travel and come back. Or, as you said, and maybe I'd like to die on Mars, just not on impact, as Elon mentioned. So yeah,
Sadly, I think we'll be old men by the time there's an option to go to Mars and come back. I think if we wanted to go, it would be
it's
a
a
one-way
one-way ticket.
trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the moon though is going to be very much within our reach.
Hmm.
I'd love to go to the moon. Are you kidding?
Yeah, if you have the opportunity, why not? Well, why not? It's not that it's not dangerous, of course. You have to keep that in mind. People have died in space, and it's a very hostile environment. But the moon is still well within our reach. You don't have to deal so much with the high radiation that's out there when you travel to Mars, for example. So it's relatively easier to get to the moon. And I think, yeah, maybe in our lifetimes we'll go on vacation to the moon. Who knows?
One
But
day.
for the Dear Moon mission, why did you actually sign up? Is it just for the thrill, or are you on a mission to accomplish something there?
I mean, when I saw the initial Dear Moon posting, I was like, "This is what I've been waiting to see." Like the guy's doing it. The way he pronounced it and the way he explained it is he's doing this as an art project to get humanity inspired to think about space. And in his case, he wants people to think about the moon. And I'm like, this is genius. Like what he's going to accomplish on this crazy $1 billion rocket launch experience thing is exactly the same goal of why I create the Adventures of Starman. The idea is to get people thinking about the future and imagining themselves being in space. So like he's going to actually go to space to help contribute to that same objective. So like there's just such an incredible alignment between why I'm doing what I'm doing and why he's doing that space project that I was like, okay, if there's any chance I can be a part of this, I have to try.
Yeah. Do you think that because of Elon and because of that Japanese, I forgot his name for a minute here, but
Yusaku Noizawa, I don't know if I'm
about
pronouncing it
yes,
right, but
exactly. Do you think that because of those people, there are more like-minded people coming to the forefront right now?
I think they are definitely inspiring a lot of others. I mean, hey, I'm doing everything that I'm doing now is all based off of what I was inspired by Falcon Heavy Starman, right? Like this
Yeah,
is like this. So yes, I was one of the people who was inspired by all that. I was already a fan of all of this, but didn't. There wasn't a way that I was participating, and through what he did, created an avenue that like has become my life's purpose and how I'm participating. So yeah, I think the amount of people behind the movement and the call to space is growing. But we need more, man. Like going to Mars is going to be incredibly hard. And I
yeah,
don't know if you've ever seen the movie Interstellar,
yeah,
but I think it does a great job painting a picture of how the world's going to be at some point in the future. Things are going to get really hard and the world's going to turn on space. They're going to say it's a waste of money. Why do you like, and you even see it today all the time on social media. Oh, why should we be spending money on space when we have people in poverty here on Earth? Like they don't get it that like the fact that we have problems here doesn't mean we should not be exploring, doesn't mean we shouldn't be expanding. So I think to counter that wave and the anti-space sentiment that will come, especially when another global meltdown in economic system does happen or other disasters, that we got to build an army of people who believe in this cause no matter what. So I think Elon Mawizawa and these other guys are helping do that.
Yeah, it's also not like space is going to space is like building another car. It's something that takes years of development. Things have to be invented at this point. And if you look back at the 60s when we had the race to the moon, they were building everything sequentially. They were designing, calculating everything, and then starting to build where Elon Musk is now just saying, well, let's build a thing and see where we end up. And if it goes well, then okay. If it goes kaboom, hey, we have a show. And he doesn't really care because they learn from their mistakes and the rapid pace at which they are moving ahead compared to SLS, for example. It's staggering how they can actually pull this off, and it has to cost them a huge amount of money. But they learn so much. It's all just like with Tesla. It's all about the data and getting as much data as quickly as possible to get that feedback loop, and then continuous improvement all the way, just like they do with Tesla and what they did with the Boring Company when the tunnel concept changed because it was more efficient in another way. So it's one red line through or a common thread through all these companies at the moment.
And honestly, the crazy part is, and compared to the other people in the industries that they're doing, even what they're spending on rapid innovation and testing, especially at SpaceX, is still costing less than what their competitors are to build rockets that are far outdated and don't land themselves. Like the biggest comparison is when you look at Blue Origin versus SpaceX, they roughly got going around the same time. One of them had exponentially more funding, which is Blue Origin, because Bezos just donated billions of dollars a year to it from his sales and proceeds of Amazon stock. And then SpaceX, which is, I mean, they're doing everything at half the cost and still developing far better technology and building experimental starships that are blowing up and testing and landing. I mean, it's incredible that they're even like they have returned that era of innovation that made the Apollo era so inspiring. And going to the moon was the focal point of it. But what was so exciting was the rapid pace of these things that we were developing. We were pushing limits, and nobody has pushed limits at that kind of pace before in the modern era. And it's SpaceX, it's Elon's companies that are the ones doing it.
Ooh, thank you, Frank, for the super chat. Frank also had a question. What about Jeff Bezos and Elon competing? Oh, that's another battle of egos.
I mean, the media desperately is because it makes a better news story and makes a more compelling narrative is trying to spin it as there is a space. There is no such thing. Blue Origin is about to do their first human flight to suborbit. They haven't even been to orbit yet. They're years away from their heavy rocket that would be required for orbital. And you know what the problem is? They have the fundamentally wrong approach. They have an approach, his gratium ferociae, we're going to go ferociously but carefully. That's the dumbest that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in rocket test and rocket flight. And it's such an oxymoron because you can't go quickly and be careful. You have to move quickly and break things. You have to be willing to send up a rocket that you expect to explode so you can get data. But the model that Bezos and Blue Origin has taken is that they can, in fact, not only the model they've taken, the economics of a model that they have taken are such that they can't afford for one of their rockets to blow up. So they have to over-engineer and solve everything in the lab and before they start doing test flights, because if they blow one up, they've blown their entire budget. Yeah, so honestly, Blue Origin is just more of the past. Yeah, it's got a billionaire behind it, a little bit sexier name. The rocket looks like a penis, majorly. But yeah, no, they have it. They've just got the wrong approach. And when you've got the wrong mindset, you're not going to really win.
Well, it's the same approach that I just talked about from the 60s.
I think we froze.
On paper, and that's it. So, yeah, I think that's, and also what they are trying to do with the human space flight is, as far as I understand, they are just going above that 100-kilometer boundary and just do a parabolic flight and not really do a round flight. So. All right. So when we talk about SpaceX, do you also is that just your interest in space, or is it just generally space and you follow other things as well besides SpaceX? Eli?
I think there is technical difficulties.
Yeah. You can't hear me? Let's see. Oh, I think Eli is going to rejoin. There we are. Okay, Eli, can you hear me? I can't. I
You
see you.
froze.
Okay. Can you say something again?
Yeah, I was mid answer, and then all of a sudden the screen froze.
Yeah, there were some technical difficulties, but anyway, you're back. Welcome back. So,
Yeah, did my answer get through about Bezos?
yeah, I think most of it got through, and I also iterated after that they are just going to the 100 kilometer level and just do a parabolic flight instead of going around the Earth completely.
Yeah, did the part get through about their cost model?
Yeah, that they're still
Yeah,
doing
okay.
the old ways and that they're designing everything up front, and they
Okay,
don't
cool.
they have no option to afford a failure,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay, cool. All right, you guys heard me. Yeah. So everything I said got through. Just for some reason, your broadcast screen just froze. So
Yeah, it's the
anyway,
same on your side, but anyway, you're back. Now the question that I still had, and we're going to wrap it up more or less, is it just SpaceX that interests you when it comes to space, or do you follow other things as well?
SpaceX is the most exciting play by far. I do follow the realm in general. There's some cool technology being developed by a number of different projects, by different government agencies, private companies. When it comes to the actual rocketry and who's going to actually get us there, there's nobody else. It's SpaceX. SpaceX is the only one. SpaceX could do it now, but what they're going to be able to do with Starship makes it the only way. Nothing that I'm going to say by name that I'm following that closely because they're long arc technologies. There's guys who are developing like different technologies to be able to convert microwave radiation to electrical energy and different important components that are going to be necessary for a Mars base.
Yep.
But honestly, none of it is individually as exciting as rockets.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, it's cool. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on in space, and that's why I wanted to just say, okay, it's such a broad spectrum of things you can follow. It's satellites, it's technology to convert energy, it's traveling within our solar system or interstellar traveling. Some papers are appearing there at a
I'll
rapid
tell you what,
pace.
probably the thing in general I'm following is space tourism is really heating up. Like this
Okay.
is the year that space tourism really begins. Blue Origin auctioned off their first tourist flight to
Yes.
suborbit. SpaceX is delivering the Inspire crew in like 80 days to orbit for an experience in Crew Dragon. Virgin Galactic just got approval a couple days ago to take humans into space.
Oh, and
There's a
SpaceX is
company
to put Tom Cruise on the International Space Station.
What's that?
SpaceX is actually going to put Tom Cruise on the International Space Station
For a movie.
So
For a movie. Yeah. Which is cool. Which is so
it's cool, but it's so.
Say whatever you want about Tom Cruise, but the fact that mainstream people who half of them probably don't even know there's an International Space Station get to see, like, we're getting the chance to expose people to things that they otherwise wouldn't. And if you want to do that, you got to use basic things like a Tom Cruise action movie. But whatever it takes, man. Entertainment is how you get to people.
And those people, also the people that have the money to actually do it. And once more, if they do it, then it becomes more of a, not going to say a commodity, but in the direction of a commodity, then eventually we will be able to do it as well.
It'll bring price down, and even if price never gets to a point that most people can do it, and we do well, so obviously at some point if we really saved up, we could we could make a financially irresponsible decision and do it, right? Like, but if nothing less, it exposes to kids, most importantly, that what's out there, and maybe they'll never go to the International Space Station, but maybe they want to be involved in working on technology that goes on that ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Right now, there is also a program where they request astronauts for the European Space Agency, and there is, again, so many people that applied for it, and people that are not even, let's say, real astronauts. You have scientists that apply for it, and they want to do some stuff in space because, first of all, they probably just want to go to space, of course, because it's cool. But on the other hand, there's using these experiments, and they want to test their theories and all that kind of stuff. And it's inspiring to be able to go there, and it's so close, but yet so far out of reach at the moment for, let's say, 99.99999% of people on Earth. But I hope that one day we will come closer to the possibility to actually travel to space. and to experience that. And I do think and most astronauts actually say that if you're out there, you get a whole different kind of appreciation for Earth, and you realize how fragile it is, in essence, and we have to take care of it.
Yeah, we're all in this spaceship together. It's Spaceship Earth.
Yeah. Frank also still had a question. There have been just rumors about Chinese new ion drives, which would shorten the ride to Mars by a lot. Do you think Elon looks into this?
I mean, ion drives they're going to be very experimental by nature. I can say that when it comes to transport between Earth and Mars, I mean, nuclear power is going to be part of it, and it's definitely going to be a part of it on Mars. Like, you need a high dense energy that doesn't take up much space and provides you power regardless if you can see the sun. Whether it be ion drives or not to shorten it, I don't know the timeline on how that will flesh out. But yes, I'd say that Elon is definitely looking into what the options
I
are.
always have
He's made some comments about some technologies that may be able to shorten the time frame, and I
Yeah.
think he was referring to ion type drives.
But I always think there's the ion drives. They work based on a principle where you just add tiny amounts of thrust and they build up on top of each other, and you get the huge accelerations or huge speeds in the end. The thing that I'm always thinking of is you have to brake in the end as well. And if it takes equally long to just brake, then you're just accelerating and braking at the same time to get to the proper speed when you reach Mars. That's kind of the worry that I have with those kinds of drives. I think we need something that's more immediate, maybe not necessarily in terms of acceleration, but in terms of stopping power.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's the difference in space. You don't have gravity like you do on Earth, and friction.
Parachute won't work. Not in space.
Now, you could do orbits around planets, still decelerate. There's some things you can do, but yeah, if you're going to very high speed, you need reverse thrust.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being here and being my guest. I really enjoyed myself. I hope you found it fun as well. And
This is great, man. I could sit here talking to you all day.
I feel the same, but maybe we need to do this another time on some other topics as well. Anytime, I'd be happy to do that.
I'd love to, man. Thank you guys for having me, and thank you to your audience for listening.
Okay, so thank you, and you guys, as usual, if you like the videos, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I plan on doing more of these interviews with different kinds of people. And yeah, for now, thanks for watching. Hope you found it interesting. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.